Hey, what's happening, my fearless networking friends? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. I don't know if today's episode is necessarily for everybody, but if you find yourself ever getting impatient or frustrated with people on your team that are, saying they want to do something and then they don't do it, or constantly calling you for questions even though the answer is obvious, or you want to yell at somebody on your team, or you just get frustrated in any way, shape, or form with people in your group. I just want to have a straightforward chat with you about how to deal with that, right? I guess one of the first things I would say is nobody came here to have a boss, okay? Nobody got involved in network marketing to have someone tell them what to do and to treat them like their employee. And some of you listening, watching me, may need to think about that and it may not be obvious to you. Like I've had people who I've worked with, and they'll I've got somebody on my team and that person's the bossy boss, and they're like avoiding them and coming up to me because they don't want to be bossed around. And then yet they're wondering, well, why is all my team coming to you? Why aren't they coming to me? Well, I mean, they're coming to me because they look at you like you're bossing them around and you're telling them what to do, and they don't want to be told what to do. I think people want to be inspired, and certainly there are times we need to tell people what to do and how to do it. But just understand, first and foremost, I think you got to understand nobody came here to have a boss. And I got to also say this, like, for those of you that are, that want to be lifers in this business, the one thing that I got to tell you is, and this is something that is just part of being in this business, we deal with all different types of personalities and people coming from different places and having their own stuff. And probably one of the hardest things to deal with is people. And that's all we deal with is people, right? So you being able to handle yourself in all these different kind of situations that are thrown at us is something you just need to learn to be able to do, right? And I get it. I mean, I get it when you're frustrated that somebody's not building, right? And they say that they want to build, but they're not building, and you're like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why aren't you building? What are you doing? And but then you got to ask yourself and take a deep breath and go, well, why is this person not building? Like, what they say they want it, but they're not. And you're getting frustrated, which I'm sure they can probably more than likely feel your frustration. Maybe taking a step back from it and going, okay, why are they not building? And see if you can be gentle enough to uncover maybe what their limiting belief is, or their lack of belief is, or what their fear might be, and help them through it rather than getting frustrated, right? So, I mean, we've dealt with things like throughout our lives, especially if you're a parent, getting frustrated with a kid that doesn't listen, or trying to get them to pay attention to something, but they're not paying attention to it. And I understand that, but these are not, I mean, there's some aspect of, us raising children in network marketing that is very, there's definitely some similarities between raising kids and raising, productive distributors, but they're not your kids. So you can't really discipline them like you would maybe perhaps your child. So, I just think and I'll give you a quick example. Like my friend who was my upline years ago, who had communicated with people in my organizations, he would get frustrated with certain people on my team, and he would get so pissed off and bent out of shape that he would end up sending this like flaming email to the person that was, causing problems. The guy was productive, very productive, but he was just a problem child. And he caused me more problems by, throwing these flaming emails at this guy. And so ultimately I ended up going, dude, I get it. I know he pisses you off. He frustrates the heck out of me. I get it. But he's massively productive. He's a pain in the rear end. But next time you get frustrated, send the email to me first, and maybe that'll just be enough for you to get it off of your chest and let go of it. And that's what he ended up doing. And so he sent somebody else the frustrating email so I could handle it. And ultimately, he wasn't, causing even more problems with this guy. And look, sometimes you have people that frustrate you for different reasons. They don't listen. They're not coachable. They say that they want to do, but they're not doing. Yet they keep saying that they want to change. And I think it really comes down to, like, we have to be, I don't even know if gentle is the right word. I'm definitely a tough love kind of guy. That's the way I've always been. But I have no problem softening up to figure out really what's troubling someone and help them to get past whatever situation it is that they might be going through. And you gotta ask yourself: is you being frustrated with people on your team? Is that helping you? Like, you get all bent out of shape. Like, my team's not producing. What the hell's wrong with them? I mean, I know I've been there myself, and trying to get people moving that aren't moving, that say that they want to move, that say that they want to make changes. Some will never change. Some will never get real with themselves as far as why they aren't moving. Some will, but some of them won't. They'll just stay in their stuckness, and they love to be miserable. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. But you can help those, and I guess gentle is probably the right word, as being gentle with people enough to help find out, for example, if they're not producing, why they're not producing. So having an open conversation. But here's the thing: if we attack somebody, if we blow up on somebody, they clam up, man. They don't open up to us. So I think when you are, when they feel like it's a safe place, when they feel like they can communicate with you, when they feel like they can open up. I mean, many of you have probably dealt with this in other relationships where, somebody tells you something and you just, blow up on them. Well, are they going to open up to you again in the future? No, they're not going to share with you because they don't feel like it's a safe place to share. And again, one of the things that we talk about quite a bit in this business is emotionally detaching yourself from the outcome when we talk about prospecting, which is important. And we're emotional beings, right? Human beings have emotions, so we can't become emotionless, right? But I think we can tether our emotions, and I think it's going to serve us in a better way. Even though we might be frustrated and we might be mad, showing the frustration or showing the anger and being that way is not going to help resolve the situation. I think someone who's calm, cool, and collected and chooses to take a different route is going to end up with a better result than somebody who just loses it. And so I think we definitely need to, decide for ourselves how much we're going to allow somebody else's stuff to impact our day, right? So, for example, you could be, it's interesting because attitudes are contagious, right? You could be having the greatest day of your life and things are awesome and you're having a happy day, and then you have a conversation with your spouse or a friend or a family member and they just do something, and then all of a sudden your day is ruined. Wait a minute. Is your day really ruined, or did you choose to have that person's whatever ruin your day? Right? And I can be really honest with you. I've been guilty of it myself, where I've had an experience with someone impact my attitude for the remainder of the day, and then some. But then it's how did that help the situation, right? So I think one of the things you got to also understand is everybody gets to choose how to respond to different things that come our way. And when you are leading a team, big or small, you're dealing with all different types of personalities and backgrounds and struggles and self-worth issues and limiting beliefs and fears and all of that. And our job is to help guide those people through those blocks, those obstacles, those frustrations. We got to take the higher ground. We can't afford as leaders to get pulled into the madness. We got to be above it all. Not above people, but you know what I'm saying when I say that. We have to rise above the negativity, rise above the challenge, and be focus on how can we work this out? How can we get past this situation? How can I help you, get past this fear that you have? Or how can I help you get into action? How can I assist you in letting go of this thing that's causing you to, be in the place that you're in? Like, and look, there's a pretty good amount of, counseling, if you will, that goes on in this business, where that's a role for sure that I would say as a leader you're going to take. But again, if you're finding yourself frustrated, angry at your team or whatever, just ask yourself, is this helping me in any way? Right? It's not really helping you in any way. Like I've used this quote before, but Dr. Wayne Dyer, before he passed, had a great quote, and many of them I'm sure. One of them is like, all worry is a waste of time. Like how many, and like what instances in your life can you really think that like being all worried about something has helped the issue? Focusing on the problem is never good. Focusing on the solution or solutions is the good. And so I get it, man. I totally understand where you're coming from when you have a level of frustration for whatever the reason is with individuals that are on your team, but it never serves to get angry. It never serves to attack. It never serves to be mean, to be nasty, even though we might feel like it. Just because you nasty me doesn't mean I need to nasty you back, right? Certainly you could do that, but does that really help, right? So I think when we choose to just take a higher road, which is typically the road less traveled, you're going to be a lot better off. And I think you're going to have a lot more respect from people who, I think deep down inside they'll realize like you have their best interests at heart and you want to help them. And we do a lot of, I wouldn't say life coaching. That's not really what we do, but I would say, definitely taking the role of the therapist with people. My wife actually calls me the network marketing therapist because I have conversations with some of the biggest leaders in the network marketing profession who come to me with their challenges and open up to me. And by the way, here's the deal. The reason that people continue to open themselves up to me, these are big time leaders in the business that will open themselves up and share their deepest, darkest stuff that's going on because they know that I'm a safe place. They know that I'm not a kiss and tell kind of person, that whatever you say to me, like literally every conversation, this is a beautiful way to be. Every conversation that comes to me is totally private. There's like this, the attorney-client privilege. That's just the way I've always been. Like if you're struggling, I'd be happy to help you. And just know that when you open up to me, it's a totally safe place and doesn't go any further than this conversation. And if you can be like that and be kind, considerate, caring, and not, jump on people and not play the bossy boss person, you're going to have so much more peace in your life. Think about that. Just for yourself, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel like peaceful and harmonious and I'm not like freaking out. And look, I get it. I did an episode, a few weeks ago where I had like, I don't remember the title of the episode right now, but it was focusing on like, if your team is doing nothing, what do you do? Like I had teams that were doing nothing. And so what did I do? I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go find some people that will. And then I'm going to go back to these other people that aren't and go like, okay, you joined the business. You really want to be successful. Do you still want to be successful? Yeah, I do. Okay, how can I help you? How can I help you be successful? What's stopping you from not moving? Because you told me when you joined you really wanted to do something. And instead of me getting mad, why you told me you were going to kill this thing and you're not doing anything? That's not going to help. Like, I don't know that when somebody's frustrated with something and we're like, when we go on the attack, that it ever helps. I don't think it does. Like it makes their clamshell just shut down and they'll probably never open up to you again. That's something to think about with your kids, with your spouse, I know I've done it to my wife. I know that she's shared stuff with me and I've overreacted. And does that make her want to share with me again in the future? No. And so I've had to, she's even expressed that to me. It's like, times in the past where I've done this and so I have to be aware of it. And I've done that. And so I'm not proclaiming perfection here. I'm definitely not even close to perfect, but I know that when I'm calm, cool, and collected and open and I don't overreact, that I tend to have a level of openness, genuine openness, where then whatever problem that one's facing can be resolved. But look, again, as network marketers, as leaders, you're going to deal with this. This is going to be like never-ending lifetime of you dealing with different personalities, and how you react to those people is going to be a very significant factor in what kind of production you get out of them. I think it's going to be a determining factor on how you feel about yourself. And sometimes, however, people are that way, but they don't even know that they're that way. And that's unfortunate, where it's like they are doing something and they're unaware of the impact that it's having. And sometimes we have to also have, and I've had many of these conversations with leaders that are doing things in a specific way, and their team is like frustrated with it, but they're afraid to go share and say, look, this is what you're doing, and this is why I don't call you anymore. They're afraid to do it. So somebody's got to be the bigger man or woman and say, look, you know what? The reason your team is not coming to you is because they perceive you as a boss. And you are, you're too intense, you're too pushy, and it's causing an alienation. And even sometimes when I've had those conversations, high-level conversations with people, it falls on deaf ears until it finally sinks in and they go, wow, what that guy shared with me a year ago, or hopefully it doesn't take that long, 3 months ago, now I realize it. So sometimes also it takes people a little while to kind of turn the corner. So anyhow, just figured I'd have this conversation with you guys. Appreciate you for being here. If you're on my podcast, listen to me on audio, thank you so much. And do me a favor, rate the podcast. Hopefully you're digging the podcast. If you're on YouTube, love having you on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want the rest of the details in this episode to plug in, and love to hear your comments, head on over to toddfalcone.com/episode 105. That's this episode. So toddfalcone.com/episode 105. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.